Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. Today we'll be looking at the 1980s Mini. Welcome back. In Quarterlight, if you don't know it, we look at car brochures 3 times a week. For your enjoyment, looking back at cars you may have owned. If that's your interest, please consider subscribing. Anyway, back to today's episode, the 1980s Mini. The particular brochure is from 1980, which under my reckoning would make this the Mark IV Mini. Always little tiny changes. They weren't really an evolution, really just small changes as years went on, more than anything. Like, for example, in 79 it got reversing lights, and of course the Mini 850 was dropped. Kind of like the Mini City was its replacement, with those black bumpers rather than chrome bumpers. We also got the Mini HL in 1980. It was kind of like the higher spec model, I think, really to replace the Mini 1000 Super, probably was that direct replacement. HL having more equipment, only lasted a couple of years. I think it ran till 1982. And then later on we had the Mini Mayfair, of course. So there was gradual changes around this time, but I do particularly like Minis from this era for a few reasons, which we'll talk about in the brochure, in the episode rather, not the brochure. Today's brochure, like I say, 1980, shows the City, shows the HL, even shows the estate in here as well. So let's have a look at that now. So here is today's brochure then, this 1980 Austin Morris Mini brochure. First car featuring on the front there is the Austin Morris Mini HL in this nice metallic blue. Few reasons why I particularly like this brochure. First one, my dad owned pretty much this identical car, a Mini HL in metallic blue, which he had from new, or maybe it was a demo vehicle, I'm not sure. And it was the replacement actually for our very much aging Morris Oxford. So amazing as it may seem, this became our family car, which is amazing now if you think about today. So even the modern Mini, you would struggle to get many families using that. And we only kept it maybe for a year or 18 months. And we had a roof rack on there, we went on holiday in it, and it was a really much memorable car. PFR 790X, I still remember the number plate on it, because it was that memorable. In fact, I did look on the DVLA website. It's showing at some point it was resprayed red and then it was scrapped. But there we go. The other memory I have of my dad bringing this home, if you notice, there's no aerial on here. They didn't come fitted with an aerial or indeed a radio. I can remember my dad drilling a hole into that wing to fit an aerial on this brand new car. Scary stuff. But anyway, the Austin Mini. Also another reason actually, this is 1980. 1980 brought out a lot of change. We now got the Austin Mini Metro arriving, and we kind of all thought that the Mini was coming to an end. This was the demise of the Mini. This was going to be the end of the Mini. Not much attention was being paid on the Mini. All the focus was on the Metro, and that was really because the buyers at this time really wanted a practical hatchback. We got things like the Fiesta, the Renault 5, the Polo, all making a big move on these types of cars. And in fact, 1981 was the last time the Mini actually came in the top 10 sales in the UK. I think it came 9th. The Austin Mini Metro came 5th, just to show you how times were changing. Within the brochure we can see some of the improvements they made to the Mini. Things like soundproofing was a big thing at the time. But anyway, let's have a look inside the brochure. So as we turn the first page, it goes of some nice images of this metallic blue Mini HL. Always remember these particularly quite unique alloys, or they're not alloys, only just wheels. for the HL model. But there is some text, and it also shows some of the features on there. So I think first thing we should do is pick out some of these key features. So it says here, to the casual eye, the newest version of the car that changed the motoring world, or the world of motoring, may seem little different from its predecessors. But look again, the new Mini HL incorporates a wide range of new features inside and outside and under the bonnet, which helps it maintain its position as an unrivaled leader in the small car field. For a start, there's a new livery, the new badge, new bumpers, smart new wheel trims. Take a look all around to look through the new tinted glass, then turn on the engine and listen. Austin Morris have installed a comprehensive sound installation system that doesn't stop at the interior surfaces, but takes care of the engine compartment too. Result? A dramatic reduction in the overall noise levels. We'll tell you more about the acoustic package in 3 pages time, but for more new features, see inside. And then it gives this little front image. It says on here, our new face for the world to see. New badges, new bumpers. Of course, the rears don't open conventionally, they look like on a hinge, so it says the hinge side rear windows give the passengers excellent ventilation without drafts. The heated back window is standard equipment on all Mini models. It then gives us a look at this, what it calls a smart new wheel trim here, and the choice of an automatic transmission or the manual gearbox. And as we move on to the next page, we have an inside view of that Mini HL interior, which I can remember well. I do particularly like the seats on that particular HL version. Let's have a look at some more of these features. So we zoom into the text. I'm not going to read it all, but of course, if you wanted to pause the screen, you could actually read it all yourself. We'll just pick out some key points. It says, it's when you open the door and climb into the Mini HL that the transformation of Britain's best loved car becomes more apparent. It then starts talking about these brilliant new seats, etc, etc, and little key differences of the interior. If we move down further, we can see that dashboard. It says the new model has a 4-spoke soft feel steering wheel and padded fascia rail for style, comfort and safety. And it says the new door bins, extra storage space is always useful. So still a very, very basic car. They just, like I say, just try to tweak a few things to make it a better selling car, although by this stage they really were concentrating more on the Metro. And then one of the unusual features about this particular brochure is instead of going from the HL to making logically going through to the different models, the second page is really showing some of the features of the Mini as a whole. We'll quickly look at some of these features, but I don't want to spend too much time on here. Okay, so some of the features, it's first of all showing that 91% visibility and how nicely 4 people can fit in such a small car. We've got this great famous Mini turning circle, and then at the bottom here it goes on to what it was trying to imply later on in the book, and that's showing the insulation. So you can see how well insulated the car was to make it a much quieter vehicle now. Okay, so the opposite page, it's going through dimension, etc. We don't have time to look for all that now, so we'll turn away from the centre pages. And we get the very practical Mini HL estate. You can kind of see the sort of like squared off front. It's kind of like got the Clubman front end. These gold stripes almost reminded me of wood on earlier estates. A very practical interior. You can see typical brochure fashion. It's showing it loading music equipment in here now. Always very strange things, but certainly very practical barn doors, and we've still got that sort of same HL interior. Bit of unusual text up here, so we'll have a quick zoom in there. So yeah, we're always talking about unusual things into the back of an estate in car brochures. Here it says, who would have thought you could carry an elaborate music centre, a washing machine, an armchair, or a week's feed for half a dozen horses in such an apparent limited space? The Mini HL estate is a miracle of engineering and ingenuity. The HL estate has a smart new look interior. It also boasts tinted glass to reduce glare. And then if we look at the text over at the other side of the brochure, really it's just talking about here, it's got some of the same features as what the HL Saloon is. It also starts mentioning how much the load space is. I'm not going to read all that, but of course you can always pause the screen if you do want to read it yourself. And then over the page we have the base model, the City, kind of like more traditional chrome wheel trims on this, or you can see sort of black bumpers on the City, as well as you can see how the graphics appear and a much more basic interior altogether. But we'll have a look at some of these images and some of this text. So it says here, the instruments are cleverly grouped where you can clearly see them. The town driver has no time to waste nor concentration to spare. Some visors include a vanity mirror for the front passenger and a handy ticket pocket for the driver. As neat as it's nippy, the Mini City wears the name on its side. And you can see these little decals, a little bit of a pouch to keep things in the visor, and sort of like the classic Mini interior. Yeah, we don't have like a proper binnacle as we see on the HL. It's kind of like back to the sort of centre speedometer in the centre of the car, and kind of like what they kind of like played on for the modern Mini, putting that centre speedo on there. Like I say, the seats do look a lot more basic. But if we look at some of the text, it says the smartest, neatest, most up-to-minute car about town. We've retained its name on the side, but we've awarded it a new badge to wear on the front. Inside, we've given a dapper houndstooth cloth seat facings with hard-wearing vinyl sides, backs and borders. Under the bonnet, we have uprated its engine to 998cc. Etc, etc. And if I just pull that out, I will leave that on the screen for you to pause, and you can read that if you want to. So there we go, that is the Mini City. And then at the back we've got the specifications page, so we will have a look at that as well. So there's the specifications for the Mini HL, Mini HL Estate and Mini City. If you notice, all that 998cc engine is used throughout. They've got a 4-speed all synchromesh on forward speeds, and there is also an automatic option, which it should mention somewhere as well. So the specifications are pretty much the same on each particular model. I'm not going to read through each one, but if you can pause the screen if you do want to read any of this yourself. And it gives you the instruments, coachwork and optional extras for the HL here. So options is that automatic transmission, black paint finish, or the metallic paint finish. If we do the same on the Mini HL Estate, again, options, auto transmission, black finish paint and the metallic finish paint. And then if we go finally to the most basic model, there are the instrumentations on that base model. The options available on this one is the automatic transmission, so assume you can't get that with metallic paint or indeed black paint by the looks of it. And then it gives us a little bit of a table there showing the fuel consumption of each model. And you can particularly see on there, if we look at the centre and we look at the difference between the HL automatic and the city automatic and the manual, you can see what a big difference in fuel economy. The manual is way better than the automatic at 56 miles per hour, presumably because it was one gear less, but you can certainly see around town it was actually better, so that's a bit of an interesting comparison. And then at the bottom there we've got a little Austin Morris badge, and then the new badge that was put on the Mini. So there we go, that is the 1980s Mini brochure for the Mini HL, the Mini City and the HL Estate. Let me know in the comments any of your memories of the Mini, particularly from this time frame. But for now, we'll say please do like and subscribe. We'll see you very soon. Take care and goodbye.